Buck 65 sur Pure Channel, Buck 65, 20 odd years, that's the record. Thank you very much for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
It's a pleasure to tell to the audience what a great album this is, 20 odd years. There is a feeling that some of the songs were made almost in a magical way. I don't know if I'm right, that it happened in an easy way, and that gives a really good feeling listening to the record. It seems you are sharing moments with friends and songs are coming out, but it's quite in a simple way.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and I wanted to make sure that that this album was recorded in as comfortable a way as possible, so that could happen for people, because I think that's the only way that kind of magic is possible, if everyone's just really relaxed. I think if you think too much, or if you're uncomfortable, it chases all those spirits out of the room. But there's one especially good story about that where I think some really amazing energy came from. There's a song called Final Approach. It's the last song on the album, and it's with Marie-Pierre is a singer from Quebec, and I wanted to do this song with her, and so I contacted her and said, do you want to do it? Do you have time? And she said, well, I don't have much time because I'm about to have a baby. And she said, this baby is arriving any time now. So we had to move very fast, and we found a studio and we made the arrangements. We recorded the song, and then the baby came a few hours later.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a very amazing and original production. Do you start composing with a guitar or a piano, many of the songs?
Let me think. I think that with the majority of the songs on here, it was guitar. I'm looking down the list, and I would say in almost every case it was guitar, and in some cases we would start with a guitar, like for example on the song Cold Steel Drum. You hear no guitar on that song, but it actually started with guitar. So the main musical melodic line that we wrote for that song started with guitar. Eventually we replaced it with a keyboard. But yeah, the guitar is the main writing instrument for me in general. I do have a piano in my house, but for some reason there just seems to be a lot more writing that happens with the guitar.
I was wondering, how much do you mix analogic battery drums and programming drums? Because that's your touch. I mean, your groove and your flow on that drum.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say that in a lot of ways, just as much as the guitar, the drums is the foundation that everything is built on. In fact, I'll usually start with the guitar part and then drums next, and then I'll add everything else from there. Sometimes even before bass parts, I'll add drums. Because it's very, very important to just my whole approach and what I'm going to do lyrically, later. And I would say that in most cases, especially on this album, the vast majority was digital or even like sampled drums in a lot of cases. There is some analog that's happening here and there. So in the song Stop, for example, there's a real drummer playing
there's
on
a
there.
solo, no?
A little bit.
It's not that song.
Oh, there's actually a solo on Zombie Delight.
Yeah, exactly. Zombie Delight, 240, you have a very good solo.
But I actually programmed that.
Really?
It took a long time.
I can imagine.
But it was, in fact, that was one of my more ambitious moments on the whole album, of taking a long time to actually program a drum solo by just chopping a lot of drum sounds. So I worked very hard on that part, and I'm glad you noticed.
The next question is about that. There's your drum, your groove. We talked about that, and then of course your flow, your voice. And as I told you before we started, it seems to me there's a, like Louis sometimes did, put his voice right on the snare or in rebounds with the snare and the charlet, and that creates an intimacy because it's all about the groove, his voice, and the whole arrangement and instruments are just illustrating the song. Do you felt you had that intimacy in the whole record because of that, because of your voice, your tone?
Yeah, I would think so. And it's interesting that you mention Lou Reed because he's definitely one of the non-hip hop vocalists that I really admire and has been influential on me, because something I've always liked about Lou Reed is he has a good combination of being very much on top of the beat, but then also moving around it a little bit. So he can be a little bit ahead or behind the beat, but then always coming right back on top of it.
Yeah, and that's also giving. I don't know how to put it in words because you don't refuse the melody, but you across the melody. I don't know if you
Yeah.
get what I mean. It's also something with Lou Reed, you know.
Yeah,
Vicious, you hit me with flower. There's a melody in that, but it's a groove and it's.
that's exactly right. It's an approach where because I'm limited really with what I can do vocally. I know my limits, especially as a singer, which is probably why I gravitated toward hip hop in the first place. But when I look at the singers that I like and that I've tried to emulate, it's always been those ones like that where it's it kind of is a slice, through the heart of the melody, but just with like just enough touch here and there. So someone like Lou Reed, Leonard Cohen does a lot of the similar sort of thing, or even someone like Marky Smith from The Fall, or whatever. He just kind of knows where his little pocket is, and then he can kind of poke in and out of it here and there. But yeah, that's definitely the whole idea where I try to maintain some sort of melodic foundation, and basically try to find some sort of root, note, basically, like that I can work with, and just apply very simple, melodic touch to what I'm doing.
Then, of course, for the music, there's all sort of genre and styles you're reaching. There's blues, there's pop. On Whisper of the Waves, it could sound like an animal, the animal song, the voice of the rising sun. There's many things. To the song Stop, it becomes more dance and pop, maybe. So yeah, lot of invitations, lot of style on that very good record, 20 odd years. Thank you very much, Buck 65. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time, and I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, I like it. And thank you to the Belle au Bois d'Armand that was sleeping next to you. And thank you for singing also for Pure Channel, because you did that.
Yes, my pleasure, and I'm glad we didn't wake her up.
Yeah.
She's sleeping very peacefully.
Thank you. Go by legally 20 odd years.